There is no substitution for showing up on time, knowing the task at hand, and having an idea that you yourself have come up with. That simple belief captures the essence of Tom Hanks more accurately than any award speech ever could. To audiences, he is one of the most trusted figures in modern cinema, a performer whose presence feels steady, warm, and deeply human. But behind that familiarity is a life shaped by instability, emotional distance, and constant adaptation. His story is not just about fame or success. It is about endurance, humility, and the quiet discipline of showing up even when life feels uncertain. Over decades, he has built a reputation not on spectacle, but on consistency and care. What makes him remarkable is not perfection, but the ability to remain grounded in a world that often rewards chaos more than sincerity. A childhood marked by instability. Born in 1956, Tom Hanks experienced early disruption when his parents divorced at a young age. That separation reshaped his childhood, scattering him and his siblings across different homes and new family arrangements. Stability was rare, and change became the only constant. Each move meant starting over, new schools, new faces, and the quiet pressure of trying to belong again. He has often reflected on how this shaped him into a shy and observant child, someone more comfortable watching than speaking. That sense of emotional distance stayed with him, creating a lifelong habit of reading people carefully rather than rushing into judgment. While the experience carried loneliness, it also built sensitivity. He learned early that understanding others required patience, attention, and empathy, qualities that would later become central to his craft as an actor. Learning to observe instead of escape. Instead of reacting outwardly to instability, Tom Hanks turned inward. He became an observer of human behavior, studying how people spoke, reacted, and concealed emotion. In classrooms and everyday environments, he quietly absorbed patterns, how humor softened tension, how silence could signal discomfort, and how small gestures revealed larger truths. This observational instinct became his emotional education long before he stepped in front of a camera. Rather than building a strong external identity early on, he developed a deep internal awareness of others. That ability to notice what is unspoken would later define his acting style. Instead of performing with excess, he learned to express truth through restraint. It was not training in a formal sense, but life experience shaping intuition. In many ways, his childhood gave him the tools to understand characters as real people rather than fictional constructs. Early struggles and the uncertain path to acting. When Tom Hanks moved to New York in pursuit of acting, the reality of the profession quickly set in. There were no guarantees, no shortcuts, and very little financial stability. Early years were defined by small theater roles, failed television pilots, and constant uncertainty about what came next. Rejection was frequent, and success was far from immediate. He supported himself through various jobs while continuing to audition and perform wherever possible. Despite the instability, he approached every opportunity with seriousness and respect. He showed up prepared, focused, and willing to learn, even when the roles were minor or temporary. This period was less about fame and more about endurance. It shaped his understanding that a sustainable career is built slowly through consistency and professionalism rather than sudden recognition or luck. A kindness as a professional strength. In an industry often associated with competition and ego, Tom Hanks developed a reputation that stood out for its simplicity. He was reliable and kind. He treated everyone on set with equal respect, from directors to crew members, and maintained a steady work ethic regardless of the size of the project. At first, this approach was underestimated by some who mistook calmness for lack of ambition. But over time, it became clear that his consistency was a form of strength. People trusted him because he was dependable. Directors returned to him because he was prepared. Fellow actors valued him because he created a sense of ease in collaborative environments. Without forcing attention, he built a foundation of professional trust that would become one of the most important elements of his long career. Rising, recognition, and a shift in roles. As Tom Hanks gained visibility through the early television work, he was initially associated with light comedic roles. While these performances showcased his natural charm, they did not yet reflect the full depth of his abilities. Rather than resisting this perception, he used it as a learning phase, refining his timing, emotional range, and understanding of character development. Over time, opportunities expanded, and he began transitioning into more complex and dramatic roles. This shift was not abrupt, but gradual, built on years of preparation and accumulated experience. His ability to move between genres without losing authenticity allowed him to redefine what audiences expected from a leading actor. Instead of relying on persona, he focused on emotional truth, which eventually became his defining trait. The emotional weight of powerful roles. When Tom Hanks took on major dramatic roles, he brought a level of emotional honesty that resonated deeply with audiences. Films such as Philadelphia and Saving Private Ryan required not only technical skill, but emotional vulnerability. These performances explored themes of loss, dignity, and survival, demanding full immersion into difficult emotional spaces. Rather than exaggerating suffering, he portrayed it with restraint and realism, allowing audiences to feel the weight of the story without manipulation. However, such emotional immersion also carried a cost. Moving in and out of intense characters required mental and emotional recovery. While audiences experienced finished performances, the process behind them often involved exhaustion, reflection, and time away from the spotlight to reset. Health, balance, and accountability. Over the years, Tom Hanks has been open about the physical impact of demanding roles, including significant body transformations for film. These changes eventually contributed to health challenges, including a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. Rather than framing this as regret, he has spoken about it with accountability and acceptance, acknowledging the importance of balance. It marked a shift toward a more sustainable approach to both work and health. This openness reflects a broader pattern in his life, facing reality directly rather than avoiding it. Even when discussing personal limitations, he does so without dramatization, treating them as part of life rather than exceptions to it. Family, responsibility, and emotional growth. Beyond his career, Tom Hanks experienced early responsibility as a young father and husband. His first marriage brought both love and pressure at a time when he was still building his career. Like many young families, navigating instability, the challenges were significant, and the relationship eventually ended. Rather than framing it in bitterness, he has reflected on it with honesty and maturity. Fatherhood, however, remained a constant influence in his life. It shaped how he viewed responsibility, consistency, and emotional presence. Even during difficult periods, he remained connected to his children and continued to prioritize their well-being. These experiences deepened his understanding of human imperfection, which later informed the emotional depth of many of his roles. Partnership, support, and stability. Later in life, Tom Hanks found long-term stability with actress Rita Wilson. Their relationship developed on shared values, humor, and mutual understanding rather than idealized expectations. Together, they built a life that balanced public careers with private grounding. This partnership also faced real challenges, including health struggles within the family. During difficult moments, Hanks shifted into a role of steady support, demonstrating care through presence rather than performance. These experiences reinforced a recurring theme in his life. Strength is often quiet, and love is expressed through consistency more than grand gestures. A career defined by trust and humanity. Over time, Tom Hanks became one of the most trusted figures in global cinema. That trust did not come from image alone, but from decades of consistent behavior, arriving prepared, respecting collaborators, and treating storytelling with sincerity. Audiences connect to his work because it feels honest rather than constructed. His legacy is not built on perfection, but on emotional truth and reliability. In a changing industry, that consistency has become rare, making his presence even more significant. A human legacy beyond fame. The story of Tom Hanks is not defined solely by awards or iconic roles, but by the way he has navigated life with humility and endurance. His journey reflects a balance between vulnerability and strength, success and responsibility, public recognition and private reflection. He is not remembered only as a star, but as someone who brought humanity into every role he played. In the end, his legacy is shaped less by fame and more by character, the quiet commitment to understanding people and showing up fully, even when life is uncertain.